Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. One of the comments we've recently had on one of the videos was to try and do a racing style game, running style chasing game, where you see it on most games like Assassin's Creed, Fable, I think Dishonored's even got one, where two characters, you have to race each other. You have to get to a spot. Not a driving racing game, but a running racing game. You have to see how far you can get. I think Kingdom of Hearts has one as well. There's loads of games with them. Since in one of the latest videos, I've revamped the state tree visualizers, which if you've not seen it, they look much more slick now. So much easier to use and really performant. I figured it'd be a great time to use it to create a semi-racing style thing, where we can have our NPCs in a line, kind of like these guys here, I guess, and we set the waypoints out using the patrol pass system we've got. You can branch it off different ways, like I remember Midnight Club had some races, and I think GTA 3, where you could get to a single point, but you could go in different directions to get there, kind of thing. We can build all that in with the patrol point system, dead easy. So you might be wondering, why am I taking a racing game into this semi-Skyrim-y open world game? And to be honest, I was playing the latest Mortal Kombat 1. They were having a party, a realm party, which is all good. I really like games where it's a nighttime, it's a festival party. It's very Japanesey, but you can see, this is what I was thinking. You've got all the stuff still down there, and all the other stores and stuff down the other way, but you've got this big middle arena. And I figured for our game, if I can modify the world, not in this tutorial, I'll do that off camera, but if I can modify this in a way where it's got big paths like this where loads of people can walk down, because you can look here, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but you can see this path is like 15 people long, and my path here is not. It's not 15 people at all. It's like 4 people. But so I figured with some landscape changes, we do a big path like that kind of thing, and then we make it more open, more like this, and eventually you see like they start pulling big carts through and stuff as well. And I figured it'd be really good for the game and for the racing part if I can do that. Big open map where you run around, you follow patrol points, you get to the destination before the other people do, kind of thing. We could even make each patrol point section checkpoint, so you have to hit it as well. So I'm going to go and create a basic dev map, which we've done thousands of times now. So cue the guy flicking on the screen and we have a dev map. We've done loads of times now. So cue the terrible gif on screen of the guy flicking his fingers, and there's our dev map. Crack on with it then. So first thing I'm going to do really is just lay some patrol points out, because that's what we're going to basically need, isn't it? We're going to need it running a distance. So I think I'm going to take my player. I'll just bring him over here for now, just so we've got some space. And then this can be the starting line, which we'll sort in a few blueprints shortly. I'll come to my AI folder and I'll drag in my patrol point like so. And then I'll probably just jump to top view, to be honest. I'm not going to do a massive one for the sake of testing. I'll just use our editor tool to add to a next one. You can see it adds it out. I'll add another next one, drag it out this way, add another next one, drag it out this way. Maybe to get, I'll tell you what, actually, we'll go to here. Just to add it interestingly, we'll come this way and we'll say between these two, you can run that way. So we'll add a patrol point in between it, like so. But the other option you've got is to actually come via this direction and take a shortcut, which can take you all the way down to here. Because, you know, games always have shortcuts and stuff. So I will add a between point there, drag it in the middle, like so. There you go. So there's my basic race map. So we'll start from here. We'll run down to here, all the way down here. Then if you know about the shortcut, you know, you smash through the glass, you go through a cave, I don't know, you type the secret password in, you can sneak down that way, as these guys are running this way, and we connect up to there. Nice and easy. So let's create a blueprint to actually handle the race scenario. That's, I think, where we should start. So I'm going to come into my blueprints folder. I'll create a new folder called racing, I guess. And inside here, I'll just create a new blueprint, BP race controller. I'll drop it in just at the players, well, just at the start line really, and I'll open it up. So there are a bunch of ways we can track the players going around it. We could either literally track their distance along the amount of waypoints and loop over it. The other option is we can set up a bunch of colliders at each point and say there's a collider there, there's a collider there, there's a collider there, kind of thing. Since I want the NPCs to be as generic as possible, and we might be able to just pick random characters at some point and challenge somebody to a race, I don't know. I think it's going to be be better if the race controller tracks all the actors itself. So the actors are just told follow the patrol point like normal, but Tracker will actually track and make sure they've hit each individual waypoint. Now the NPCs I'm not too worried about, they will hit it. It's the player which will be the more difficult one, because we actually need to make sure they are hitting each individual waypoint. So back on our race controller, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a variable called races, and inside here I will set it to be our BPI character, because that's what we know is going to race. And I'll right click to turn it into an array, make it instance editable, compile and save. And it'd be nice if we can make this so the NPCs race alone, so the player doesn't always have to be in there. It does give us some unique troubles when we look at doing the UI and stuff, but we can work on that when we get there. Let's just drag some basic NPCs in just for now. So I'll drag in my BP NPC here, rotate her around. We'll do a 3-person race. Let's just change her mesh to, there you go, to a nobility male. So this nobility female and the male are like, ha ha ha, we can race better than you or something, I don't know. There we go, there's our 2 characters. So we'll click the race controller and we will just add both of these into it. So you'll notice we won't be able to add them into it, and that's because these characters here in the world don't actually have the interface. So I'm going to come and change this over from BPI character to a character standard, which we can use, but since we know they all have the interface anyway, we can safely assume they will. So we can come back to here, we can now click on this and select our actors in the world like so. So we now have 2 race contenders like so. So let's go back to our race controller. We'll go to the event graph and delete all this. We're not going to untick enable because we are going to need that to track the actors, which is fine. So I'll just create a basic event up here. So we'll add a custom event and I'll call this start race. And this will start the countdown of 3, 2, 1, go kind of thing, because we're going to want that, let's face it. So let's start with the countdown. So I'm going to come and add a function over here so it's nice and tied up, and I'll call it race countdown. We're not going to add any parameters to it yet because we're going to call this via a timer. So I'm going to add a variable at the start. So I'll call it race countdown time and I'll set it to a integer, and we'll right click it so it's a single item, and we'll make it instance editable, and this will be how long until the race starts. So it'll go bing, 3, 2, 1, go. So 4 seconds basically, but we'll set it to 3. And then what we will do is add another variable called current countdown time, and again we'll set this to an integer single, but we'll make sure this isn't instance editable, and we'll also make sure it's marked as private here. And this just means we've got a way to track what our race time is, so count from 3, and then we've got one to track what the actual time is. Because with the way Unreal's timers work, we need a way to be able to track it. So from the start race, I'm going to drag off and do set timer by function name, and the function name will be the new function we've created, so race countdown. The time I'm going to set to 1 second, and this is the part where I was trying to explain with these two. We want the timer to run until it's counted down 3 seconds, but this timer won't keep ticking each individual second. We need it to, so we can update the UI and say 3, 2, 1 kind of thing. So we have a variable to track what the max countdown time is, we have a variable to track the current countdown time, and our final variable is our function, which is our countdown timer. And again, that'll be marked as private because we don't need to access that. I will actually also move it to a private category so it's hidden away, same with that one. So this I will also tick looping on, so every second this is going to call race countdown, which is perfect. So I'll come into race countdown and then I will get the current race countdown time, and I will simply minus to take it off, and then from here I will just, for now, I will just print out the timer like so, because we haven't got UI for it yet, but we will eventually. And what I will also do, if the current countdown time is less than or equal to 0, just in case something goes wrong, it's always nice to check past 0 as well. If it's false, we do nothing, we just let it carry on, that's fine. If it's true, we need to stop the timer because we don't need to tick it anymore, so we will simply go clear and invalidate timer by handle. This will basically stop the timer in its tracks, it won't do anything. And then we can call the start function. So if I go back to the event graph, instead of start race, I will right click, add another custom function called races start running, and then I will simply at the end of this races start running like so. So as a test, if I just come and click this start race and click call in editor so we can test it, I'll add a print statement to this races start running and say go go go, and now we can compile and save. So let's see what happens if we try it now. So when we load the game, nothing should happen, nobody should move, which is perfect, and there's no patrol points, which is exactly what we want. If we come and click the race controller here, you see we can click start race, and at the print statements at the top, if you watch, watch should start ticking down. That went very quick. I remember why it went very quick. Back on our race controller, just before we start the timer, simply set the current countdown time to the race countdown time, like so. So it updates itself. So if we come back to it and play now, you can see nobody's moving. If we click our race controller and click start, you'll see it'll start counting down. It'll go 2, 1, go, 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 go. So everybody starts running. So it didn't print 3. Let's have a look why it didn't print 3, because it should go 3, 2, 1, go. So there's no initial start delay. So we're setting this to 3. Then it's coming into here and waiting for 1 second and then updating it straight away to go, right, take down to 2 now. So what I'm actually going to do is just to make it easier for everybody. When we start the race, I'm actually just going to come and add 1 to it, like so. So you'll come and set 3 because that's what you want. You want 3 seconds for it to begin. But in the game world, it needs a little bit longer. So we'll click start. It'll wait a second. Then it'll go remove 1. So it'll become 3. It'll print out 3. Wait, 2, 1. And then it'll say go, go, go kind of thing. So let's try it and see what this looks like now and see if it looks any better. So we'll press F8 to break out. Click our race controller. Click start race. It'll go 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go. And then the race can begin. So we can start the race and start running around, follow the patrol points and do whatever we need just like that. So the next bit we'll start working on is actually getting these guys to start running. Because this race controller can be dropped in anywhere, we can dynamically add the racers whenever we want as well. So if you might have a quest where you can just walk up to 3 random people and say, I challenge you to a race, we can just add them to this array in-game. That's how easy it is. So it's nice and reusable. If, of course, you've got specific set people you need to race and they're not always going to be in the map, what you can do is convert this out to a bunch of soft class references where you come in character and just change it to a soft class reference and then just spawn that person in when you call start race. For me, I'm going to make all the racers be in the vicinity, so they're going to be loaded. So having a hard reference to them, they're already in memory anyway, so it's completely fine. So because we're using the existing patrol system with our existing patrol state tree, it does give us a bunch of benefits that we can use. I am going to keep everything in it because it gives us the amazing ability to tell it what to do. So you can see we can see the patrol point state. We can tell them to loop forwards, loop backward, do whatever we need. You might have a special thing where they loop forwards around it, but then they reverse and you have to like do the track backwards once. Some games do that. And you might absolutely have some instances where you want them to knock something over, play an animation or something. Maybe they're trying to sabotage you. Maybe they know about the secret passage, but you don't. And there's loads of different ways we can take it. So I'm going to come to my race controller, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually tell this is the starting point right here. So when the race begins, we can tell both of these, right, this is your waypoint, start from this position and race. So I'm going to come to my race controller. I'm going to add a variable called starting patrol point, and I'll set this to a BP patrol point. I'm going to set it as an object reference again, because in order for this race to take place, the race controller has to be loaded in memory and the patrol paths have to be loaded in memory. You can't have one without the other, so it makes sense for them to be tied together. We don't need the patrol points to be tied to the race controller, however, so it's okay that the patrol points aren't aware that this exists. Because we've got several patrol points in the game, like in the jail system, where they don't need to be racing around. Can you imagine a jail system where the guards are racing each other? So I'll click our race controller and I will select the starting point, which will be this one right here. Boom. Now we need to tell our actors that once the timer's ticked down, this is your new patrol point, start following it. So I'm going to click both of these guys here and I'm going to search for their controller, and by default it's just a standard AI one. So I'm going to come and select the patrol AI controller. If you don't know what that is, it's literally just a custom AI controller that we've made, where all it does is have a state tree on it with our patrol state tree. That's literally it. It's got an interface on it to start and stop logic that we're not even using. Look, on the parent, it does call start state tree on begin play, and it does call restart logic and stop logic there. That's the only thing it's got. It's super lightweight. So back on our race controller now. So when we call start race and it goes 3, 2, 1, and we go racers start running, we actually need to tell them where their patrol point is and what they need to do. So I'm going to grab all the racers and I'm going to for each loop over them all. And then after this, I will see if they've got a function already to set actor to follow. Yes, we do. So what this is we have an interface called BPI character here. And all it is a bunch of different functions to change how the character works. It's generic, so it's for both player and NPCs. And we've got two functions here of set actor to follow and get old actor to follow. You don't need to worry about the old one, but the set actor to follow is the key one. We pass in the actor, which in our case is our patrol point that will pass into it. And then we pass in should they remember the old one. That's more so if you are taking guards away from their current patrol point for some reason. We are not going to need to worry about that. Then all I've done is on the NPCs and the players, let's search for this, is I've added this interface to them. You can see BPI character. Then I double clicked on set actor to follow. And all it does is check the should old remember old, but basically set the actor to follow here. That's the key one. So we can call this on all of our characters, and the new actor to follow is our starting patrol point, like so. Should it remember the old one? Like I said, we don't need to worry about that. So let's try it out and see what happens now. I've got a feeling it might error or not work, because the state tree runs as soon as the game loads, and it's going to try and find the current patrol point, but it's not going to find one because we don't have one. So we might have to modify the state tree ever so slightly. So you can see, oh yeah, we've not started the race yet. So let's actually start the race. We will go start race, and it'll go 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go. So they've been allocated, but nothing's happening. So if we click them, you can see actor to follow. They are set to follow a bunch of patrol points. That keeps changing for some reason. So they are set to follow it, but I think the AI is glitching out. Yeah, there we go. We're getting spammed with errors because it can't find the current patrol point, because they've not been told to have one. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to modify this. If you haven't got this state tree set up, feel free to watch my other state tree videos. It's super easy to do. But each one of these is basically a task that the NPC is going to do. And it's going to make our racing really easy to create. So we just need to modify the first task, which is go to a patrol point, where it's checking for the next patrol point it needs to go to. So we'll open up the move to patrol point one here. We'll start deleting off these prints while we're here, because that's just annoying. There is a glitch with Unreal 5.4. For some reason, the delay nodes would glitch if you don't delete them and recreate them. I don't know why. My guess is they've changed something. But yeah, so I had to add a bunch of print statements in before I found that. But yeah, so we come in here, move to a patrol point. If it's not valid, we just succeed the task. But we don't need to succeed it, so I'll uncheck that. But what I will also do at this point, if we haven't got an actor to follow, there's no point for the state tree to be active at all. So a cool thing you can do in Unreal 5.4 is you can actually have this new schema for an AI component here. And it gives you access to the AI controller that's using it, which is really useful. If you're not using Unreal 5.3, that's fine. Just use your evaluator to get the AI controller. For me, I'm just going to set that. And then in here, this AI controller, I will come and set it to the patrol AI. The actor will be our BP NPC, because that's who's running like so. And now if I hit compile and save, has it accepted it? Yeah, so now it's accepted it everywhere, which is good. But what this means is we now have access to the AI controller that's running this state tree. So back on our move to patrol point here, I'm going to create a new variable called NPC AI controller, and I'll set this to the patrol AI because there's only one AI controller that uses it. I'll make sure it's inside the input category, and I'll tick instance editable. I'll hit compile and save, and now you'll see if we come and click this one here, we can actually allocate the AI controller based on what we've selected up here, which is perfect. And now that we've done this, we can actually grab the AI controller and simply tell it to stop the state tree. We can tell it to use our custom stop AI logic, like so. The logic is, we can say no actor to follow. And we can hit compile and save. So that's good. So that will stop them from erroring as soon as the game starts, because they will have nothing to do. So as you can see, if I click them now, nothing's happening. It's frozen basically. The state tree shouldn't be working. If I click the race controller now and click start race, it'll count down 3, 2, 1, go. And you can see nothing's happening, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want the state tree to be frozen. Now, I will mention some users reported issues in Unreal 5.3 that when they called stop on the AI state tree, it didn't work. And I've actually took a look at some of the users' code, and it looks exactly like mine, and I can't figure it out. That problem doesn't seem to be there in 5.4, so stop logic does work. If you are stuck on 5.3 for your project and you don't want to upgrade to 5.4, The only suggestion I can make is you add a boolean to your AI controller if you're on Unreal 5.3 and your state trees aren't stopping, called state tree running, default it to true, and then you have a task at the very top which says is state tree running. It checks that boolean. If it's true, then it simply returns succeeded with a tick. If it's false, it returns succeeded without a tick. And then what you can do is you can add a transition for on succeed, go to the next state, which means it'll carry on. On failed, it will go to a wait state or something where it just stops infinitely, or it waits every 2 seconds and checks again. Something like that. But for us, we're all good. In my 5.3, I didn't have that issue. But now that we've called stop on the AI tree and it's stopped, we now can have the race controller run. And then when it's succeeded and we've allocated everybody actor to follow, we can take the array element and we can now get their AI controller, like so, and we can call restart, and we can call our custom start AI logic to tell it to actually start running again, like so. Now, you know I'm not a fan of double linking things like this, so what I will do, I'm going to click the event, I'm going to right click and do convert event to function. There we go, race has started running, we don't need that one anymore. So we'll go into our race countdown. You can see it's automatically converted over, races start running into a function. And the benefit of this is when it can now create local variables, which is one of my favorite things. We can drag off of here and create a local variable. We'll call this current racer. The benefit of this current variable is it only exists inside this function. It disappears as soon as this function is finished running, meaning it's not existing in the world here. It will spin up, exist, and then die off again. So much neater and so much better for managing your memory in your game. Then all I'll do is drag this one across, drag our current racer in like so. So in theory, ladies and gentlemen, that is enough to have them start racing. We've got loads more we can do to it, but if we come in and tell them to start racing now, you'll see it'll say 3, 2, 1, go, 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 and they should stand completely still. How anticlimactic was that? So that's one thing that we need to figure out, which is simply my guess of a nav mesh. So make sure you drag a nav mesh bound volume in, make sure it covers your race map, because otherwise they can't race. If you press the P key, it should show you like so. I do wish Unreal would flag an error saying we can't move to this place. After the nav mesh, one thing I did have to debug was I showed you how to change the context schema here. That seemed to break the entire state tree for me. I don't know why, but as soon as I changed that, it wouldn't even call the first one at the start. It was doing nothing. So I think if you're going to use the new one, you're going to have to create your state tree from scratch, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah. So all I've done is the 5.3 fix that I mentioned, where I just get the current AI controller and cast to it, and that works fine for me now. Because if I put that there, compile and save, then one change I'm going to make is on this move to patrol point, it will only go to the next state if it's succeeded. It doesn't need to carry on. If it has failed, it'll just go back to root, because that's what we want. And I'll hit compile and save, but you will now see properly when I click race controller, it'll count down 3, 2, 1, get ready, go, go, go. And you can see they're walking to the state trees as such. Isn't the race fantastic? Look. Yes, they are successfully going in the lead. There you go. There's our race, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Series complete now. So that's it for this tutorial now. We've got the basic gist up. Sorry that you can hear my dog snoring. She's fast asleep. This is the basic gist of the race so far, but we've got so much more to add to it. Oh, they've decided to go down that way. They're both taking the shortcuts. So in the next tutorial, we'll start looking at making them actually run so it looks better. We'll add a leaderboard so you can see who's currently in the first place. We'll add some UI, 3, 2, we'll have a bing, bing, bing countdown thing. And we'll start actually going along with it. We will track the player in the race as well. So we can say whether the player is part of the race or is just a spectator, because spectator races are still good. Maybe you put your money on and you can have a betting system. That'd be a good one. But yes, this is the first part to the racing system. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. If there is anything specific you would like to see in this, please let me know. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.